to this training on ECR and VB databases, etc., and the manual night service project. So today we're going to build our first function in VB, for which you are going to require a suitable editor. I recommend Notepad++ free, as recommended in the earlier training videos. So we'll open this up and we'll set our language to VB. Now I am going to post this VB script as a link. You'll be able to download it and just cut and paste it, although I do strongly recommend you take time and sit down and type the bulk of it out yourself, because there is nothing better than correcting your own typos, and you learn far more if you just do it yourself rather than cut and paste. That having been said, the first part of the code I am going to cut and paste. It's a section that I put at the top of all of my scripts. Here it is, paste. And this is lifted straight from the knowledge base articles that are on the Swyx knowledge base for looking up numbers in databases, the bank holiday script, etc. You find the knowledge base articles, find the scripts, and you find that at the top. These are just constants used in connecting to databases and how we lock the files while we're reading them, etc. I'm not going to go into details on any of these values, but you can look this up on the internet if you want to. If it's brand new to type in VB, if you want to comment your code, and it is well worth putting as much comments in as possible so other people that pick up your code have some idea what you were thinking of. So if you start a line with an apostrophe in Notepad++, mark it as green, just so you know that it's a note only. When I'm writing my code, I tend to write it all, and once I've got it working, and then I comment it afterwards. But the choice is yours on how you're going to do that. Anyway, so I need to create a function, and I'm going to create a function to check the night service. So that's what I'll call it. I'll call it function, and we'll call the function check night. And if I was going to pass any parameters into the function, any variables from the script into here, I would put a value inside the brackets. Just so all my scripts look the same, I put the brackets there even though there's nothing in it. I now need to define a list of variables I'm going to use within my script. And we declare the variable with the dim statement, and I'm going to use s return, so that's a string. The first letter, usually a lowercase, defines the variable type. This is just a coding standard. You don't have to adopt it, but s denotes string, I integer, v variable, etc. So I'm going to have a return value, and I'm instantly, so I don't forget to do it, going to create a default value for return. I'm going to make it equal to 0. Night service is off, so if anything goes wrong, the system will act as though there is no night service. It seems to make sense to me. Okay, so now what else are we going to create? I need a variable for the connection into the database. I will comment these as I go, so when you're looking at the code on screen, you know what I'm talking about. So ADO connection object, that's what's going to be contained inside that variable. I'm going to need a command to use in the connection. CMD, that's the ADO command. Ooh. ADO command. Now I need some parameters to pass over. I think I'm going to use these. Parameters, ADO parameters. And what else do I need? Oh, I need a connection string. So dim string CS. I think was the term I used. That's the ADO connection string. I'm going to create an SQL query. So SQL query string. I need a record set. And what else do I need? Oh, I need a value for night service. I think that's all I need. If I've missed anything out, I'll come back and add it in a second. So we start off by creating a connection string. Now there's a reference to a very good website all about connection strings in the official Swyx training program. Plenty of websites will give you more details about this. We're going to use for this instance an OLEDB connection as opposed to an ODBC. ODBC is the old way of doing things. You have to create the connection within the operating system and then replicate the details in the script. With the major advantage of OLEDB is I put everything in the script itself. So I declared a variable earlier on, the connection string. So how does this work? Well, I've got a provider, and the provider is the SQL OLEDB. Now, this whole connection string will fill up the whole line, so to make it easier to read, what we do is we end a line that needs to be continued with a semicolon, close the quotes, and then we use the ampersand and underscore to let the system know that the next line contains the next part. So the data provider, the data source rather, data source is, where is the database server? Well, the database server is running on the local machine. I could type in the local machine name or the IP address, but if I want to make this code transportable so we can use it on multiple machines, the shortcut full stop refers to this machine itself. And the default instance of SQL Express is SQL Express. And again, there's more to come, so a semicolon, finish the quotes, ampersand, underscore, and then we can do the next line. Now the initial catalog. The initial catalog is the database inside the server that we're going to talk to. And if you've been following the examples, our database is called night service. And there's more to come. Ampersand underscore. Now I need a username and password to log on, so our user ID is Swyx Night. And there's more to come. Whoops, underscore. And there's a password. And there's no more to add, so I can just close that function off. So I've declared my string, and now I just need to define the connection itself. So the connection is an object. So I create the object. And the object I'm using is an ADODB connection. .co connection. This isn't case sensitive, by the way, but it doesn't look nice if you do it. Mix and match. And now I just need to open the connection to the database. So we will do connection, open, using the parameters inside the connection string. I'll now introduce the first example of inserting your own output into our trace files. More details are about all the system variables, system functions, APIs, etc. are on Swyx forums. But one command you're going to use frequently and get to know very well is the pbx script dot output trace function, because anything I type in after this will actually be entered into the trace files, the ipbbx serve trace files. So I can just put called function to open night service database connection, and we'll go more into tracing and add in more stuff later on. So having opened the connection to the database, we now need to open the record set and find the information we're interested in. So I can put a command in, I can put a comment in rather, open record set. As I said, I usually add all my comments at the end once I know it's working. So we've already defined a variable for the SQL query. That was SQL. Now my SQL query in this case is going to be select all from the night table. So the database was called night service. Inside the night service database is a table called night, where the field reference equals 1. And you'll notice I'm putting the 1 inside apostrophes. If you want to test that out, you can just equals. If you want to test that out, you can just cut and paste and put that into SQL Management Studio and run the query to confirm it. So that is our query. And now I just need to set the record set object. So set record set equals create object, and this is an ADODB dot record set. And having created the statement and created the object, I can now open it. So we will open the record set using the SQL statement on the connection string, and this is where those variables right at the very top of the script come from, the lock types. So we'll open the database dynamically. Dynamic. And we will put an optimistic lock on it. And then we'll add the command text. So that's now opened the record set, and we just need to test the value of the night service. So if inside that record set the field night on equals inside quotes, 1 because it's a string. Then my return value is going to equal 1. And if. And that's all we need to do, I think. So, having done that, obviously right at the very beginning I set the return value to be 0. So if night service isn't on, then we will return a 0 from this function anyway. And if there was a problem, we would return a 0. So I can now just close the record set. RS close. And it makes sense, and it's good housekeeping to empty the record set out. And we'll close the connection to the database. And we'll null that out as well. And I will write in the trace pbx script dot output trace check night function returning the value S return. So if I've got any problems, I can go to the output, I can go to the trace and search for check night function, and we'll see what it returns. Now I just have to tell the function to return that value. So the function was check night. S return, and I can end the function. And there's our script ready to go. So we'll just copy this, Control C, Control A, Control C, and we'll go into Swyx admin. So open up Swyx admin. I'm doing all this on a virtual machine on my laptop. So while this opens, so I have already created a user called test user. So we'll open this up. We'll go to call routing manager for the test user and create a new rule using the graphical script editor. And we start off by putting the code we've just written inside here. And we now need to check that function and see what the return value is. So the function was check night. Does it equal 1? If it does, night service is on, and if it doesn't, night service is off. So I can test this is working. I will put a couple of web files in, which I've actually already recorded. This one, night service is on. And this one, night service is off. This is so we can test it and save. Manual night service 1. Mark Swyx. Play either night on or off web file dependent web file after looking value up in database. Okay, so I've saved it, move it to the top and apply, and now I can test it. So we'll bring Swyx over and we'll dial the script and we should hear a web file for night service on or off. And it didn't work. Actually, I knew it wasn't going to work because I tested it. Now, I was going to edit out the errors, but I think you learn more from fixing errors than you do from just copying. So why didn't it work? Well, we need to go and have a quick look at our traces. So we'll go to Notepad++, we'll open up the traces, and the trace I'm looking for is IPPBX-serve. Scroll down, there it is. So we'll open that up in Notepad++, and we'll scroll down to the bottom, and we'll find a reason for the last call to fail. So I'm going to start scrolling up. Now, whenever there's an error in scripting, you'll find a quick way of looking for it is just to search for this indent here. And you can see I've got an error here, variable undefined cracked object. So it's a typo, and this is the cause of most of my problems when I'm script writing, so I'm not a very good typist. So I got cracked object instead of create object. So let's go into, oh, it's already there. Go into here, and it's not that one. That was a create object. It's this one here, create object. So Control A, Control C, and into the script. Delete, paste, save. Now hopefully this is going to work and I'm not going to have to do another trace, but let's find out. 800. So still got a problem. It's okay. Let's go back to my Notepad++, go to the trace, reload it, and scroll down and look for the next error. So what did I do wrong this time? Okay. PBX scripts dot output trace. Let's have a look. PBX script dot output trace. There's nothing wrong with that. Yes, another time for an output trace instead of output trace. Should take a little bit more time. If you were following this video closely, you would have probably seen that as I was typing it and laughing right now. But I could have edited all this out and you would never have known this had happened. But so you know what they say, third time lucky. Oh dear. My only excuse for this was that I was trying to record and type at the same time. And it doesn't surprise me that I spelt dynamic completely wrong. So, once again, let's correct that. And I should have typed it. Control A, delete, Control V, OK, save. He says with fingers crossed. Where's my Swyx gone? So we'll try again.
Night service is currently off.
Night service is currently off if you didn't hear that. And just to double confirm this, we'll go into Management Studio. So here's Management Studio, and we'll go into the databases, the night service database, and we'll open the night table in edit mode, and we'll change the value from a 0, night service is off, to night service is on. And let's see what happens when I dial night service now.
Night service is currently on.
Night service is on. Make that a 0. And redial.
Night service is currently off.
Night service is off. There we are. We got there eventually. And I can finish with that. And go full screen. So that's it. Sorry about the mistakes on the scripting. Now you can ignore all those and just cut and paste, but you probably won't learn as much. So I strongly recommend you type up and manually, and then search the trace file for your typos. Unless, of course, you are a far more gifted typer than I am. Well, that's it for this one, and you can see the way things are going, hopefully. And next time, we'll develop this a little bit further. Thanks a lot. As usual, any comments or questions, just respond to the normal place. Thanks a lot. See you soon.